Ukraine just hit something big in Russia. In a historic night, it has taken out something that Putin can never replace, and Russia's president is shaken. A key plant burns, and it's not the only thing. Ukraine did everything right in a single night. Redkino, Belgorod, Bryansk, and Saratov are all burning, and there's not a thing that Putin can do about it. We'll start with the village of Redkino. Nestled away in the Tver region of Russia, that village is home to a plant that produces fuel for two of Russia's most vital missiles, the XH-55 and the XH-101. Putin thought the plant would be safe. Tver is sandwiched between Moscow and St. Petersburg, and Ukrainian drones would have to travel hundreds of miles to reach it, and that's just what they did. According to United 24 Media, the early hours of February 7 saw Ukrainian drones take flight in the direction of Redkino. They bypassed Russia's scant air defenses and scored direct hits on a plant that reportedly produces a rare missile fuel known as Decylin-M. That fuel is now burning, along with the plant that produces it, and Russia can't deny what is happening. NASA's FIRMS platform recorded an active blaze at the plant in the immediate aftermath of the strike, with residents on the ground also shooting footage of the fire and the thick black smoke pouring out of the plant. One of these videos, shared on X by United 24 Media, shows the blaze as it is shot from a distance. Through a tree line, we see fires. We hear the buzz of incoming drones and the desperate firing of Russian air defenses as they fail to stop the weapon that Ukraine has sent in to Redkino. The drone hits its target, causing a massive explosion, and the Redkino plant burns. More footage, shared by the Astra Telegram channel, shows one of Ukraine's drones en route to the plant. The channel says that residents also reported a chemical odor emanating from the destroyed plant, suggesting that Ukraine's drones struck something very important. The Redkino experimental plant is a large Russian industrial enterprise specializing in the development and production of chemical products. The company's website states that the plant, quote, has been a manufacturer of unique chemical products for the aviation and space industries for several decades. The key words here are several decades. In one night, Ukraine has destroyed something that Russia has relied upon for at least as long as Putin has been in power. And we'll come back to why this particular plant and what it produced was so important later in the video. First, we told you that everything was burning in Russia, and we weren't lying. The Redkino strike has captured all of the headlines, but it was only one in a series that Ukraine pulled off on February 7. Heading over to Bryansk, Ukraine deployed its Neptune missiles and high-mobility artillery rocket systems, or HIMARS, to destroy energy infrastructure throughout this Russian region, plunging many of Bryansk's residents into darkness. The oblast, which borders Ukraine's Sumy and Chernihiv regions, has long been a target for Ukraine because of its proximity, and now Ukraine is making the oblast's residents feel some of the pain that Ukraine's own people have felt as a result of Russia's constant attacks against Ukraine's energy grid. The Bryansk regional governor, Alexander Bogomaz, reported the attack, stating, "The armed forces of Ukraine attacked our region using long-range Neptune missiles and HIMARS multiple rocket launcher systems. As a result of the attack, power supply was disrupted in 7 municipalities. Special and emergency teams are working to restore power supply." For what it's worth, Ukraine's military hasn't released an official comment on the attack, with the Kyiv Independent noting that it wasn't able to confirm the veracity of Bogomaz's claims on February 7. Still, it seems likely that Ukraine pulled this off. Russia has a long history of trying to deny that attacks ever take place, so confirmation of a successful strike is rare enough to be notable. And there was more, a lot more. On the night before Ukraine made Redkino and Bryansk burn, it also targeted the Russian oblast of Belgorod, another of the regions that sits across the border that Ukraine shares with Russia. Belgorod was targeted with massive shelling that caused serious damage, Reuters reports the Belgorod regional governor, Vyacheslav Gladkov, as stating, "The enemy has shelled the civilian city of Belgorod. Everyone knows we have no military targets. There has been serious damage. I have been out to look around," Gladkov claimed during a somber address to the Belgorod public. This is a disingenuous statement. Gladkov is claiming Belgorod's innocence as Russia continues to send missiles, like the XH-101 that we'll be covering later in the video, to attack Ukraine's energy infrastructure. Russia turned energy facilities into military targets. Ukraine is just teaching Putin what that really means for his people. Ukraine's president, Volodymyr Zelensky, has also refuted Gladkov's claims about Ukraine's strikes against Russia's energy infrastructure. When asked on February 8th whether Ukraine has the resources to attack energy infrastructure ahead of pure military targets, Zelensky said that they are one and the same thing. We don't have to choose whether to strike military targets or energy infrastructure. He sells that energy. He sells oil. So is it an energy target or a military target? Honestly, it's the same thing. He sells oil, takes the money, invests it in weapons, and uses those weapons to kill Ukrainians. Gladkov's statements at least lend some context to the potential reason why the Bryansk regional governor also confirmed Ukraine's strikes in his region. Russia is trying to paint Ukraine as a terroristic nation for its attacks on the Russian energy grid. The hypocrisy is off the charts. As the Center for European Policy Analysis noted in December, all 15 of Ukraine's thermal power plants have been damaged or destroyed by Russian strikes. One series of Russian attacks on November 25th alone snatched power away from 40,000 people in Kyiv, 21,000 in Dnipro, 20,000 in Odessa, 13,000 in Chernihiv, and over 8,000 in Kharkiv. Either the Bryansk and Belgorod governors are ignorant of what their own country is doing in Ukraine, or they know, and they're trying to use Ukraine's attacks on their oblasts for propaganda purposes. Either way, it doesn't matter. Belgorod's energy infrastructure is also burning, and we're about to tell you how badly. But before we go deeper into that, you're watching The Military Show. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time. Back to Belgorod. According to a February 7 report in the Kyiv Independent, blackouts and power outages were being reported throughout Belgorod in the wake of Ukraine's strike on the oblast's energy infrastructure. And these outages weren't isolated incidents. The outlet says this is the third time in a week that widespread power outages have affected the city of Belgorod. Ukrainian missiles had also struck the region on February 3rd and February 6th, appearing to target the Luch thermal power plant that supplies about 10% of Belgorod's heat. What we're seeing here is Ukraine giving back what it has been receiving in spades. Russia's missile attacks on Ukraine's energy facilities aren't going to stop. That's why Ukraine targeted Redkino, and we'll be coming back to why that strike matters very soon. But if Putin isn't going to stop attacking Ukraine's energy infrastructure, then he has made that type of infrastructure a military target. Ukraine is only responding in kind, and it's leading to Belgorod's citizens being plunged into the darkness and the freezing cold, just like Russia is doing to tens of thousands of Ukraine's citizens. Oh, and Ukraine also targeted a troop concentration in Belgorod, as announced by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine on February 7. We don't have any more details beyond that, but it does seem that Gladkov's claim that everyone knows we have no military targets in Belgorod was proven false on the very day that he made it. You can probably guess what we're about to say next. Ukraine still wasn't done. Also on February 7, Ukrinform reported that Ukraine's defense forces had struck the Balashov oil depot, which is in the Russian Saratov region. We don't know much more about this strike, other than the fact that it happened, but the reason behind it is clear. The more of Russia's oil that Ukraine can take out, the less of that oil can be refined into fuel products that are used by the Russian occupiers in Ukraine. Armored vehicles and tanks can't run without fuel. Neither can aircraft, which require aviation fuel that is refined from oil. And even if Russia didn't intend to send the oil in this depot to the front lines, it is still lost out. Burning oil can't be sold, and it can't be used to make fuel for the people of Saratov. Balashov Oil Depot is another target that burns among several, capping a historic night for Ukraine. Except it doesn't, because there's even more. In addition to its strikes all across Russia, Ukraine also took aim at the Russian occupiers in its own territory. In Zaporizhia, a Ukrainian strike destroyed a drone command post near the settlement of Rivnopolia. Ukraine also destroyed yet another Russian troop concentration in nearby Dorozhnyanka. In Yalta, which is part of the Donetsk region, Ukraine struck against a Russian repair unit. And also in Donetsk, Ukraine destroyed another drone command post in Mykolaiivka, along with a multiple launch rocket system that Russia had stationed in Poltavka. In both of these regions, the more soldiers, drones, and equipment that Ukraine destroys, the less intense Russia's assaults become. Less intense assaults means slower territorial gains for Russia, assuming it can make any at all. Phew! We told you that February 7 was a historic night for Ukraine, and we meant it. Russia burns. Occupiers were destroyed. In one night, Ukraine has just proven how fragile Russia's air defenses are while carrying on strikes with surgical precision, all of which are going to weaken Putin's war effort. And that brings us all the way back to Redkino and the attack on the missile fuel production facility in that settlement. Cast your mind back to earlier in the video. We told you that Ukraine had taken out a plant that operated for decades and that the plant produced some